just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. A singer in a smoky room, the smell of wine and cheap perfume. For a smile they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night. Streetlights, people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants a thrill, paying anything to roll the dice just one more time. Some will win, some will lose. Some of them just sing the blues. Oh, the movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night. Streetlights, people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people.
We'll get started in a few minutes, guys. Let some people trickle in here.
And I could never pretend that I don't love you. You could never pretend that I'm your man. That's exactly the way that I want it. It's exactly the way that I am. And you call me in the morning with your troubles, taking it downtown every night. I could never place the stars at night above. Got my hands on the ground and you know I'm right. You wait so long. You wait so long. You wait so long. You wait so long. coffee stain earth every time it happens. Liven up, honey, it ain't that bad. And the afterthought rose to record.
There's something inside me that moves beneath the surface, consuming, confusing. This lack of self-control I fear is never controlling. I can't seem to find myself again. My walls are closing in.
Not a sense of confidence. I'm convinced that there's just too much pressure to take.
I've felt this way before. So insecure. Discomfort endlessly has pulled itself upon me, distracting, reacting. Against my will, I stand beside my own reflection. It's haunting how I can't seem to find myself again. My walls are closing in.
Not a sense of confidence. I'm convinced that there's just too much pressure to take.
To find myself again. My walls are closing in.
Not a sense of confidence. I'm convinced that there's just too much pressure to take.
I've felt this way before. So insecure.
What is going on, everybody? Got about 7 people in here thus far. I don't know. I've been doing a lot of streaming lately because I enjoy it. I've been streaming, doing some watch parties for games. I'm doing things that I enjoy, right? So I hope you are all having a great weekend. I see CJ in the chat. How are you doing, CJ? And did y'all have a good Labor Day weekend? It was nice to have a long weekend. And we're going to get into some stuff tonight. There's not a ton to say about South Carolina State. Do I have any other upsets for tomorrow? Well, let's let's switch screens here. And go to YouTube. Where's my oh, I need to add a camera. Oh, I guess I need to have my green screen for that to work. I don't need that. I need ESPN. Why is this not working? Let's look at the games for tomorrow. Let's look at the games for tomorrow. In fact, it's not going to be all that interesting this way, but I guess we'll do scores. Obviously, Georgia's going to get upset by Ball State. That's the easiest pick ever. But let's take a look at these games. Right now, Indiana up over Indiana State. Illinois losing to Kansas. Vandy Wake. I would have to take Wake Forest in that game. That wouldn't be an upset. NC State Notre Dame could be interesting. I think, who did NC State play last week? UConn. Looks like they struggled a little bit with UConn. Maybe UConn's a good team. Maybe you could call for an upset there. Baylor's going to get their brains beat out by Utah. Utah, a pretty good team. Nebraska, Colorado. I mean, Colorado's ranked after one game. Interesting. They're favored, I think, 2.5, 3.5 points here. After what I saw from Colorado last week, I would think, especially as bad as Jeff Sims looked, I'd have to pick Colorado in that game. Virginia Tech, Purdue. James Madison, Virginia. Is Virginia an underdog in that game? Virginia, James Madison line. I think they're an underdog in that game. They are. Virginia is a 6-point dog in that game. Wow. Yeah, and I think James Madison beats Virginia. Yeah. Oh, it has the line right here. I'm an idiot. Obviously, Tech's going to take care of business. I guess if I was going to pick any upset right now, I'd pick Tulane. Yep, I'd pick Tulane. Now, Miami, Texas A&M is going to be interesting. Looks like A&M's a 3-point favorite, even though Miami's at home. Wow. I would be interested in taking that game as well. App State, North Carolina could be interesting. UNC is a 19-point favorite. That game was very bizarre last year, just a lot of offensive points scored, but it does look like North Carolina's defense is a lot better, at least against South Carolina. What up, Seminole Seth? How are you, sir? Alabama, 7-point favorite against Texas. I would take Alabama there. I would definitely take Alabama. Trying to find you an upset. I mean, the best upset pick I've seen thus far is Tulane over Ole Miss. And I'm not seeing much else in the ways of upsets. Maybe San Diego State. That might be an interesting one to look at. What's going on, Mike Doug? Yeah, USC's not losing to Stanford. Auburn a 6-point favorite over Cal. I'd probably have to say give me Cal in that game. There's maybe an upset pick for you. They're playing on the West Coast. Game comes on at 10:30, so probably no one's going to be watching that game. So there you go. I guess upset picks would be Tulane, Cal, and A&M. One of those three. One of those three games. But as you know, I don't bet. Seminole says Cal Auburn classic ACC SEC matchup. It is now. It used to be a Pac-12 matchup, but no longer. Cal. I don't plan on doing a video on that either. We're in season now. I could really care less about talking about conference realignment. But it is interesting. I mean, SMU basically said we don't need money. We just need the ACC. You don't have to pay us anything until we land on Mars. Till Elon Musk lands on Mars, we will pay our own way. And I'm not really sure. I know it's been reported that that's bringing more money into the conference. I've seen 70 million floated around. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but if that's true, I mean, good deal, I guess. Tech will win tomorrow 223-0, beating our old margin of victory record 222-0 over Cumberland. There you go. Mike Doug speaking facts here. But I don't know if y'all saw the video today. I did want to come on and talk about some of this, just an overreaction to Louisville. I mean, for all we know, Louisville is a really, really good team. And I especially don't get saying fire Andrew Thacker. I mean, like, I don't get that at all. Most of it's a new coaching staff. You know, Key in his first year as head coach. Like, the thing that pissed me off the most was comparing Key to Collins. Like, if you listen to a Brent Key press conference and think it sounds anything like a Jeff Collins press conference, you don't have two working ears, man. They couldn't be more worlds apart in what they say in a post-game press conference. And I could really care less what is said in a post-game press conference as far as firing coaches, right? Like, do we beat North Carolina in Chapel Hill without Andrew Thacker? No, probably not. Probably not. Mike Doug says our team needs a couple of games to get the offense in sync. The defense was just not prepared for what Louisville did on offense. Well, they looked good in the first half. And what else was happening in the first half? We were able to score a lot of points. I mean, when you just keep putting your defense out there and you're only able to score once and a half, your defense is going to struggle. Seminole says even with the loss, Georgia Tech looked better last Friday than they had in 3 years. Exactly. They look better than they had in 5 years. You know, we're improving, especially on offense, especially on offense. When Haynes King has time to throw, he finds the right place to go with the football. Now, we're going to figure out a little bit better what our defensive line looks like. Evidently, South Carolina State likes to run the ball a lot, so if they're able to run on us, that's not going to be good. We've talked about Sylvain Yanjuan, defensive end, a guy that's from Belgium, is out for the year. He's the only significant injury, but that's tough. So I'm going to be looking at Eddie Kelly. And what is Eddie Kelly able to step up? Because you never know, when you have injuries like this, the next guy up might be a stud. No one realizes he's a stud. We'll have to see. Mike Doug says, can't remember the last time we had 28-point quarter. Yeah, I can't either. Oh boy. Let me roll through some recent comments. BC says, I'm literally directly across him from the field. Yeah, I'll be in section 106 if you guys want to come say hey. I'll be there tomorrow. I'm going to check out the Hell of a Block Party and see what that's all about. Beauty and the Beard 0609, who's a great commenter, says, how can we get y'all in the press conference so that Belly Quinlan can stop asking so many questions? It is interesting to me how Kelly Quinlan is kind of at war with a lot of Tech fans. Like, he acts like he has some exclusive deal with PFF, even though it's a subscription service. And, like, he accuses everyone of leaking his information or whatever, even though look, $100 a year for his service is a little steep. No one buys it unless it's on sale. I don't buy it. I'm not spending $100 a year. Give me 1 second. It's Diet Coke time. Give me a Diet Coke. Yeah. The people are waiting. Come on, gotta get a DC. Seminole Seth, who do y'all have this week? Y'all playing a nobody as well? DW says, I believe our last 28-point quarter was against Louisville in 2018 or 2019. You could be right. I don't know. Actually, I don't know about that. Maybe it was in the fourth quarter when we came back against them under Jeff. Who do y'all have this week, Seminole? Y'all have Southern Miss. Y'all should beat the brakes off of Southern Miss. Brett Favre has sullied their name by stealing from their welfare fund, and I need you to punish them accordingly. Isn't that crazy? Brett Favre, there's like a text message he sent because he was funneling money out of the welfare program in Mississippi, which is the poorest state in the union, by the way. So he's literally stealing from the poorest people in the country. And he sends a text to one of the people that is colluding with him. He's like, hey, no one's going to find out, right? Like, no one can find out what I'm doing. Well, maybe don't send that in a text message that's going to be subpoenaed from you. Elliot Walker, I have to go to a wedding tomorrow. No one should get married in football season. Yeah, one of my friends is getting married during a North Carolina game. Like, they couldn't have picked a bye week? What's wrong with them? You're not being a good friend if you get married in football season. Get married in June, like I did. I was respectful. Let me pull up the depth chart. Georgia Tech football depth chart. No, you hear that typing? No one can type as fast as Wreck. No one types as fast as Wreck. All right, depth chart for South Carolina State. So, let me zoom in a little bit so y'all can see better. Joe Fusel's starting at left guard, which I'm super pleased with. He's a guy that was a walk-on, earned a scholarship. And he's actually a captain for this game, too. So, really good to see him in the starting lineup. Looks like he's got Paul Chiu. I don't know how you pronounce that name. When a word starts with 3 straight consonants, guys, I don't have a chance at pronouncing it. It's like Weston Franklin starting at center. And here's the thing. We really need him to stay healthy. We got freshmen backing him up. Brandon Best and Gabe Fortson is a true freshman. Ja'Kiah Leftwich at right tackle and Jordan Williams at right guard. Scaglione, this is the guy that transferred out of Ivy League school, Princeton. He got a lot of playing time last week. Dylan Leonard at tight end. Who's the other game captain this week? I don't recall. Keep an eye out for Eric Singleton Jr. And actually Chase Lane in this game. I know a lot of people high on Eric Singleton Jr. Looks like Dante Smith is going to start again, being backed up by Cooley and Jamal Haynes. Jamal Haynes looked like a baller last week, him and Cooley. What about King? Haynes King starting? Yeah, obviously Haynes King's going to be starting. Oh, there you go, Mike Doug. They got Brody Rhodes in the 4 spot. They haven't updated this. Like I said, we're going to have to be looking at Eddie Kelly. Look for number 97 in this game. See how he plays against South Carolina State. What I really wanted to talk about, I don't know if you guys noticed this. Andre White is the 4-star linebacker that transferred out of Texas A&M. Didn't see him get in the game at all that I can remember against LSU, or not LSU, Louisville. And surprised to see him. He's either at the 3 or the 4 spot. So he's sitting behind 2 freshmen on the depth chart. So I don't know what happened there. If he's not practicing well, if he's nursing an injury, but very surprising to see Andre White 4th on the depth chart behind 2 freshmen. Now, the transfer from Minnesota, Braylon Oliver, he's backing up Ternelius Tatum. And it'll be good to see Lamiles Brooks back out. He got injured, but is fine now. Oh, Jalen King. Jalen King is the other captain in this game. It's him and Joe Fusel. And I know a lot of people were displeased with Gavin Stewart. Obviously, you can't miss a chip shot field goal. Heard a lot of good things about Aiden Beer. But don't give up on Gavin Stewart, guys. Gavin Stewart was really good for us last season. Now, if we continue to miss kicks, yeah, then there's cause for alarm. David Shanahan looked better against Louisville. He's still, to me, very slow on getting punts off. The backup punter's 227 pounds. Is he Joshua Taylor? Is he also a linebacker? And it looks like we've got Leary and Jamal Haynes. Kickoff return. I would really love to see Leary bring one back. This is a kid that has, the 10, 500-meter speed. And I thought Dominique Blaylock looked really good returning kicks against us. So, yeah, I mean, are you, I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely surprised to see that Andre White is this low on the depth chart, kind of as talented as he seems to be. So I don't know really what's going on with that. Maybe we'll get to see him get in the game tomorrow. But yeah. Let's let's take a little poll here real quick. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Who's going to win? Who wins? Texas A&M or Miami? Seems like the home game has been at a disadvantage in this series. Interested to see what you guys think, though. Texas A&M or Miami? I know we did a poll last live show, Alabama or Texas. Seemed like most people were taking Alabama, but that's a lot of people's underdog pick, you know. A lot of people high on Texas. I feel like some of that, though, is because they've got the Manning boy at quarterback, but he's not starting for them, right? It's going to be a year or two before they really see the benefits of having recruited him. We roll through some more comments. Mike Doug commented, your question about who could replace Thacker, we could get Collins. I heard he was a defensive genius. That's true. If you listen to Jeff Collins, he is an absolute defensive genius. And the genius is once you get rid of him, your defense looks infinitely better. John Burns says, I was disappointed that the D-line had no pressure on Redbird's backfield. Yeah, we had a lot of trouble getting pressure on Plummer. But I tell you what, when we did in the first quarter, I mean, he was just throwing it at wide receivers' feet. Did not look good. Man, crap. Now my chat on OBS is all messed up. Todd says, I'm ready to start drinking again if we lose this week. Yeah, if we lose this week, then definitely sound the alarm bells. We're in big trouble. Oh boy, here we go. Fire everyone because the kids failed to keep their heads in the game. I don't know if it was that yeah, I guess the kids didn't keep their heads in the game with what King admitted. But yeah, no need to fire everyone. There's someone saying we should have hired Dion. Time will tell. What's going on, TK? Yeah, PD, Minister of Mayhem, which he called himself that. No one other than him called him the Minister of Mayhem. So embarrassing. Someone else says he accidentally clicked Miami, but he thinks Texas A&M will win it. Well, I'll vote for A&M then. Even it up. Even it up a little bit. Have they given a line for Georgia Tech, South Carolina State? Let's see. They might not put a line on it. Where is it? Well, here, let me filter ACC. Nope, there is no line on it. It says tickets as low as $4. Yeah, if you want to sit in the nosebleeds in the north end zone, you can probably get to that game for $4. All right, docs, chat. Okay. Let me look at games. I need to record Ole Miss Tulane because I need to watch that game. And I think what I'll do like Monday is put out. We'll break down some film from this game, and then I'll kind of come up with a game plan of what I think we need to do to be successful play calling wise against Ole Miss. Because the thing with Ole Miss is they're generally offensively pretty good. Their defense is lacking. I'm not sold on Ole Miss being as good as people think they are, though. I know they had a pretty good portal class, but I know one thing, they're not beating us 42-0. By the way, I messed it up last week, but we will be doing a post-game show on Mark Rogers' channel, Voice of College Football. Let me put a link to his channel in the chat. Subscribe to him and turn on notifications, and you'll get a notification for that Georgia Tech post-game show. Here's a link to his channel, and we'll be doing that weekly, just so you know. All right, I'm going to close the poll, see what you guys think. Wow, it's exactly dead even. 50% of you think Texas A&M, 50% think Miami. I guess with Seminole Seth's misvote, it's like 53% to 50. And did I see that like Miami's having trouble selling tickets to this game? I know Lou put out a video about that, but I don't know how true that is. BVD says Aggies. I need Miami to win that game, but I think it helps Tech. I think it would benefit Tech if Miami was undefeated going into the game we play with them. I'd kind of like to see Texas A&M win that game, though. Will Colorado win? I think Colorado beats Nebraska this week, yeah. Ole Miss had 2 of Tech's players. I think they've had more than that over the years. I mean, every time a player starts to look good for us, either Ole Miss or North Carolina ends up poaching them off. Not good. Tell you what, let me open up the StreamYard. So if any of y'all want to come in, talk some football, BVD, I see you in here. You're definitely welcome to come on and tell us we're all out to lunch or whatever you want to do. It's fine. But if you want to call in, just click that link. So easy. Even a Georgia fan could do it. And speak your piece. I really hope Lely calls in here one day. I've called him out and said, hey, we all know who I'm talking about if you're on the Tech fan base. I can't even repeat what I typed out to him. It was pretty bad. If you are a part of the Discord, I might have put it in the members only chat, but you can look through my videos and see what I commented to him. Totally owned. Totally owned. All aboard the Lane train. You know, I think Lane. Oh, here we go. Here's BVD. Let me switch screens here. I've been gotten before. And gotten before.
It's actually me. What's going on, buddy?
I can't hear you for some. Oh, hold on. My headset turned off. Go ahead. Sorry, BBD.
It's actually me.
No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you.
No, I meant that it's actually me here.
Oh, okay. Well, how are you doing, BVD? Who does Tennessee got this week?
The powerhouse by the name of Austin P.
Austin P. Man, that sounds like a team Georgia would play.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably be a similar result of Georgia and Ball State. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Should be an ass whooping.
It should be. Y'all took care of Virginia. And did you see Virginia as an underdog to James Madison?
Yeah, it's not surprising. Virginia's not good at all.
No, and James Madison is a pretty good football team for like their level of play.
Yeah, damn it. There we go. It's a little better, not much.
Looks
Who
good.
we got? Is Illinois Kansas the only game tonight?
I believe so. And it seems like that game's all but over now, right?
That's looking like it.
What is it, 21-0 still?
I think so. I'm watching a pretty good local high school game on TV here, so
You know, I thought about you, BVD. We had a decent player, this white guy with a ton of speed, Cottrell, that come out of a school not far from where you are, I think. We've gotten some
why's it
decent
got to be a
players.
white guy, WreckTalk? Why's he got to be a white guy to be fast?
Well, no,
I'm fast.
if you're fast and white, you're overcoming your genetics.
Yeah, that's pretty much true.
Yeah. Someone called me out for that. I'm like, how many white running backs or wide receivers are in the NFL starting? Not a lot.
Or how many white DBs do you see?
I don't think I've seen one in the
Really?
NFL yet.
Can
Have
you name the one famous historically white DB in the history of the NFL?
I can't. Was it 50 years ago?
No, it's not been quite that long ago. Jason Sehorn played for the New York Giants. He was a really good corner.
Where'd he play college ball?
Had no idea. Oh, okay.
Shit.
Oh, I think speaking of weird football facts, my football team is currently probably the only team in the history of football to have played 4 games, and their record is 2-0.
Say that again?
Yeah, we played 4 games, and our record is 2-0.
Did you have 2 games? Well, explain
we had
that.
2 games that were called due to lightning, and so instead of calling them both a tie, which they were, they called them no contest.
No contest. I thought that was a legal
It's like they
plea.
never played.
Yeah, usually.
It's like the game never happened.
Did it really happen? Do you have evidence that it happened?
I have video evidence that they both happened,
Okay.
but neither one completed 4 quarters of play.
Interesting. Well, BVD, what are your upset picks for this week? What upsets do you think will happen this week? They happen every week.
Nebraska over Colorado.
Really? Okay. As bad as Jeff Sims looked, you're going to take Nebraska in the upset over the Shadur Sanders there.
I just, man, I got to see a couple more games from Colorado before I buy in like the rest of the country.
Yeah, I'm not bought in. I feel like Nebraska looked really bad last week.
Yeah, well, they've looked bad for the last 20 years, so
It goes back
Shouldn't
further than
surprise
last
me.
week.
yeah, they did look pretty bad, didn't they?
Well, Jeff Sims throws 3 picks, one of them leading to the game-winning field goal. You can't be doing that.
No, you can't be doing that. Trying to think of who else could.
About Tulane? Tulane, Ole
I was
Miss.
just going to say Tulane, Ole Miss. I don't know. No matter who wins that game, it could be considered an upset.
That's true. Now, how do you feel about Ole Miss? It seems like I've seen people fairly high on Ole Miss this year. I know they had a decent portal class come in, but they kind of fall apart every year. I'm not really sold that Ole Miss is going to make a push for the West or anything.
No, I don't think there's any threat of that. And I don't think LSU's as bad as they looked in the second half against FSU.
No.
So Brian Kelly's he'll get it done down there, but I don't know that this year will be the year.
Well, that's the thing with the success he had last year winning the West. Now that's kind of the expectation for him, and people kind of set aside how abnormal and amazing it was for him to win the West in the first year. And there's been people on message boards I've seen that's like, what's Brian Kelly's buyout? And I'm like, you guys are absolutely insane. Ask BVD about the coaching carousel of firing a coach every 3 years. It doesn't end well.
No, it doesn't. And Florida might be on that same carousel right now.
Oh, they 100% are. I mean, who was there before McElwain?
Was it Meyer?
Yeah, Urban
Urban-
Meyer, then McElwain. Now, Urban Meyer had not. They didn't fire Urban Meyer. He had, they had to get Doctor House to figure out what his medical issues were.
Right,
But McElwain comes in. They fire him, and then what was it? Dan Mullen.
No, seems like there was one more before Mullen.
Oh,
I mean, you may be
Muschamp.
right.
Muschamp.
Muschamp, yeah, yeah.
Now, do you remember who Georgia wanted to hire around this time when they were frustrated with Mark Richt?
I believe it was one Muschamp, wasn't it?
They wanted to hire Will Muschamp. And now they dodged a bullet there. He's gone around and buried every other program Georgia.
How bad would he have been at Georgia? Do we really know? I mean,
I don't know that they would have been bad, just with how they recruit and how much talent's on the
yeah,
team. But they wouldn't be what they are now. I think that's for sure, right?
probably not. I think we can agree on that.
So yeah, then they bring in Dan Mullen, who might BVD. Is he the weirdest head coach we've had since like Les Miles in a big time program?
He's definitely out there. Um, I don't know where he is now. Speaking of out there, where's he coaching? Anywhere?
Lake Oconee or something. Some affluent private school in an affluent area of Georgia. Because, when you get fired, if you take a job, like a big paying job in college football, your buyout is normally reduced by some amount of
Right.
what you're taking. So he's probably just going to collect a check. I mean, what was his buyout? It was more than 10
Oh, I have
million.
no idea. No clue.
And
No clue.
they fire him, and then that gets us to today, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
Billy
they're
Napier, another name that Tennessee was looking at a few years ago.
and now they're ready to fire Billy Napier. A lot of them are. So yeah, I'd say
Yeah,
they're
I
on the
mean,
carousel.
it's ooh,
You got some
hang on.
storms up there?
Yeah, it looks like we're probably going to have some more games tonight locally called because of this shit.
Dang.
It's frustrating, man. I mean, it's been really frustrating um, to be back on the sidelines for the first time in 3 years and had two of the games not even count. And these were huge games too. I mean,
Big matchups.
um, oh yeah, the first one was huge, playing a big 6A team, and then last night, probably the biggest game that's happened up here since the last time Alcoa came to Greenville, and we were dominating that game, and we got first and 10 from our own 1 yard line, and our quarterback throws a pick six.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, that so the Lightning. I don't know if it saved us. I'm not going to say that, but it definitely thwarted their momentum. So it is
What's
what it is.
so you, unlike the rest of the people in the community, watch a ton of high school football. Who's the most talented high school player that you have seen? Like personally, you were at the game and saw.
Well, there was two last night for Alcoa. A big tight end that's committed, I think, to Alabama. But he's been playing more defense this year than offense. And then another guy, super fast speed. Can't remember his freaking name. He committed to USF. Um, but overall, God given talent.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, probably the best player I've seen was Cade Ballard. That played quarterback at Greenville, went to Army, and
Okay.
chose a bad time to go to Army because they were still using that freaking triple option shit. And as a white guy who had decent speed, um, he was never going to win that job up there when they had some other guys that were faster and
Right.
can run the option better. I truly and firmly believe that he could have played quarterback in the SEC somewhere,
Yeah.
but his problem was he was like 5'9".
Yeah,
And
that's way too. That's like as tall as
yeah,
Stetson Bennett.
well, I mean, look how good Stetson did.
Well, how tall
You
is he
know,
truly? I think he's 5'10", because they usually
yeah,
list you an inch taller than you really are.
yeah. Uh, and in Cade's case, he was listed at his height was listed with his helmet on, I think, because they had him at 5'10", and there's no way that kid's 5'10". Um, but I'm not joking, man. Anybody that got to see him play would have agreed with me that he could have played. He could have definitely probably played at Vandy, um,
Yeah.
and he was smart enough, that the requirements to get in would have been no problem. But he's a kid that we're going to hear from. Uh, Probably he's going to be a leader somewhere. He's going to be a leader in this country because he went to Army to be a whatever it is when you get out of there. I don't know.
You're a
Somebody in the top.
commissioned
Yeah,
officer, and you have a
right.
minimum 4-year commitment. So
Yeah, he's going to do big things in Washington, I think, when he gets done. He was a pilot before he ever left Greenville. He already had his pilot's license.
I wanted to
Um,
marry a pilot.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you,
Somebody's going to marry that boy, and they're going to be able to say they married a pilot.
Officer and the Gentleman, anybody?
Officer and a gentleman, yes, sir.
You didn't know RecTalk was old school like that.
Hey, man, that movie's current, baby. They play it all the time on one of them movie channels.
By the way, guys, BVD was in the Big Short RecTalk video. I just put his channel in the chat. Definitely, if you're not subscribed to BVD, go check him out. BVD, I think you could say, is the OG, the original gangster.
I mean, no, I'm the OG. I'm the orange gorilla.
But you were the first. BVD was the first person that did college football YouTube that is in our group. There, or
I
maybe
wasn't the
period.
first. There was a couple more that were. I don't know if you know who Oni Kuno is. He's an Oklahoma fan. He's actually, shit. I think he's probably passed me in subscribers now. He's got a pretty good size Oklahoma channel. He was before me. Law Tide was right about the same time as me. Other than that, that's it. I can't think of any other college YouTubers that were doing this. Magnum, but he's quit, so he don't count. Well, he didn't quit, but
Yeah.
he doesn't do videos on the regular anymore. Um, there's very few people left, and why am I hearing a baby crying?
I don't
That
know.
must be that's coming from the next room. Sorry.
Jack, do
Um,
you want to come in here? By the way, Jack's a Louisville guy. If you want to come in the
Bring
stream,
him on.
if you want to come in the
Bring him
stream
in.
yard and trash talk, you're definitely welcome to. Rec Talk
Yeah.
ain't dodging nobody. You click that link; it's so easy. Even BVD figured it out.
Really, if I can figure it out, literally anybody can. Literally, like
That's right.
a human with no arms and no legs can do it. If I can do it.
So I asked you that the most talented. I'll tell you the most talented kid I ever saw play, and the most talented kid I played against personally. Most talented kid I ever saw was Deshaun Watson.
Are we talking backyard football you played against, or
No, in high school
actual?
football.
Okay, okay.
I saw Deshaun Watson play at Gainesville. He was like a man among boys. I mean, it was just silly. And they're in the same region as the school I went to high school at, Winder Barrow High School. The most talented kid I played against was Tavares King, who played at the University of Georgia at wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's from Mount Airy, I believe. He played for Habersham Central. I don't
Mount
think-
Airy, Georgia, or
Yeah.
Mount Airy, North Carolina?
Mount Airy, Georgia. Mount Airy is what? That's around Lake Hartwell. It's on the other side of Lake Hartwell from Clemson.
Oh, I have no idea. No clue.
Yeah. Jack says, "Nah, I ain't trash talking. I just want to talk." Well, you don't have to trash talk, Jack. But look, you can click the StreamYard link if you want to talk about college football. Because here's the thing, I'm gonna be a Louisville fan for the rest of the season. Because the better y'all do, the less that loss looks bad for us. Cards on the table, no pun intended.
And the last time Tennessee played Louisville, I believe we beat your ass.
There you go.
Trash talk.
You might not want to come on and trash talk, but BVD is going to trash talk you. But I was on punt coverage, and he was the punt returner, obviously. And I absolutely earholed him. I knocked.
You got a tackle on him?
Yeah, it's probably the best lick I ever laid. And he popped right up and hit me on the helmet and said, "Good hit." Nice. It didn't faze him at all. And that's why he played at the next level, guys. And, I had the heart to play at the next level. I just didn't have the talent, I think. That's what it was.
I hated football growing up, believe it or not.
Really? That's surprising.
Yeah, I hated practicing. That was the main thing. I hated the fact that I never got to play running back because I was the king of backyard football.
Heck yeah.
And we all know how important backyard football is. Literally, the only person that could bring me down was my current roommate, John. He figured out after a couple of years, you got to hit me low.
That's what you got to do.
Otherwise, we'd have 5 guys hanging onto my shoulders,
You were just dragging people. Was BVD a stud? And, there used to be a backyard football game.
Only in backyard football. Because in actual football, I always got put on the offensive line, and I fucking hated it. I hated that, man.
Yeah, what happens when you hit a big play, but you play offensive line? You watch that wide receiver or running back get all the glory, don't you?
Yeah. Yep. Or the quarterback or whoever,
But the thing is, offensive line is way harder to play than any of the skill positions minus quarterback.
I was going to say, aside from quarterback, it's the most important position on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you hear everybody talk about? Got to win the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and most people think when you say win the line of scrimmage, it's 100% a physical thing. If you guys watched my play breakdowns, it's as academic as it is physical. The defensive line stunts, so now your responsibility changes, and you got to adjust in half a second to that. You got to have the speed if you're a pulling guard to meet that linebacker in the hole. It's a tough position.
Yep.
Which, speaking of that, my dad, Papa WreckTalk. Sometimes I got to be careful. I've almost said my dad's real name and my daughter's real name before, and I caught myself.
What, you mean his real name's not Papa WreckTalk?
No, but in high school we called him Papa, and then a rendition of my last name. I'll give you the closest hint you'll get. My last name, if you're watching, is German, and that's why I'm so stoic and a badass. But anyway, what's going on, Porter?
I like how you throw it in there, and a badass.
Yeah. I'm not one of those guys that's like, I'm an asshole, and that's a great character trait. But when you look at
it works on YouTube.
No, it does. It does work on YouTube. People like to see. Well, we all like to kind of root for the villain after The Sopranos and Breaking Bad, right? We like the anti-hero. But when you're judging offensive lines,
I guess so.
You look at the number of starts your offensive line has collectively. If it's 100, that's a really good offensive line, experience-wise. You know how many Florida State has? How many collective starts they have on their front 5?
10.
200, more than 200. And I think that's why you're seeing Florida State, in conjunction with Jordan Travis, is probably the best quarterback in the conference and one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Florida State's going to be some good.
Not as good as Joe Milton, but yeah, he's good.
You don't think he's as good as Joe Milton?
I don't know. I'm just, I'm a Tennessee fan. I got to rep my guys. He's definitely not as good as Nico Iamaleava. That
Yeah,
guy's going to be Tennessee's first Heisman Trophy winner. Book it.
we can piss off Seminole Seth. Like, he's good, but like he's not as good as like whoever starts for Vandy at quarterback or
He's
nothing.
not as good as our third string quarterback,
How do
and
you
he's a
feel?
white.
How do you feel about Joe Milton? I know he's got a cannon for an arm.
Yeah, we all know that. We all know that he's got the physical tools. He's a perfect height and size for an NFL quarterback. He's got good speed. I don't really. I get the knock on Joe Milton because he hasn't done it, so to speak.
We did it
But
against Clemson, but Clemson lost to Duke.
he
So
did it against Clemson. He did it against Vandy last year. But so what? Um, that Clemson win looks a lot less impressive now, doesn't it? Now
well,
that now that we've seen Cade Klubnik in an actual, uh, start for his team.
what is
But I
going
don't think
on
I
with
don't
that?
think he's as bad. Um, what's the old saying? You're never as good as your best play, and you're never as bad as your worst play. Um, and
Yes,
I kind of think that's the deal with Klubnik. I think he's going to be fine at Clemson. And which brings
it's
me
a
to
five
this
star.
question, Rectal. You're a very smart guy. Okay, we can all agree on that, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a given. You got 2 hours to
Why
quit
is
talking like
why is there no P in the word Clemson?
that. Well, I've gone off on several rants on this very subject, and I think it starts with the alphabet. Why do we have a
Oh,
C and a K?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
ridiculous. Now, yeah, Clemson. I don't
No, I
know.
understand why we have a C because we have to have another letter that sounds like S, but is only half an S. Because C, if you look at C, it's really just half an S.
Well, I feel like it comes from German because German and Arabic have sounds that you don't have in English that use a C,
Right.
like a if you listen, or even Hebrew, similar to the Bach sound and the name Bach. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. Why does Clemson touch a pet rock? Is another question before they play.
Oh, technically, it's a pet piece of a rock. It's not even a whole rock anymore.
Do you think they touched it before they left to go to Durham? You think maybe that was the
Uh,
issue?
they might have even taken it with them. Or does the rock stay at home?
I don't. Well, I'll say this about this game, and I know a lot of people are down on Clemson, and they've been down on Clemson for an entire season and off season now. And I think there are some fair criticisms of Dabo. Like he was asked about, hey, do you think maybe you're going to change your mind about the transfer portal? And of course, he gets super defensive. How dare you even ask me that? It's like, well, dude,
Right.
it's a really fair question. Like if you were playing a video game of college football, one of the penalties or something would be not being able to use the transfer portal. Like that would make the game harder, right? But
Yeah.
I think that instead of talking about how bad Clemson might or might not be, I think people are sleeping on how good Duke is under Mike Elko. I think that's a good team.
I am. I did. I mean, I came away from that game thoroughly impressed with Duke. And I wasn't buying all the preseason hype about them. Who the hell is Mike Elko anyway? Where did he come from?
Well, he
I mean,
played at Penn, not Penn
why
State.
is why
Uh,
is he all of a sudden this great coach?
you know where he was before he was the head coach at Duke?
No, I have no idea.
He was a DC at Texas A&M.
Okay.
So
Well,
that surprised me too because I would have figured him to be an offensive guy as good as their offenses have been, but now
right.
he's a defensive guy.
Well, they certainly look the part. Who do they have this week?
Let's see. Um, by the way, I'm already kind of heartbroken for Duke because I see Mike Elko getting um, hired away after the season and then Duke getting gutted in the portal. That quarterback's probably already being offered money.
Right.
Duke 2023 schedule.
Do you think the NIL is bad for college football, or do you not have an opinion?
I have a strong opinion. I think NIL 100% needed to happen. Go watch my video on Michael Orr, the guy that made the Blind Side, about if you don't believe me.
Yeah.
But the way they implemented it, I mean, leave it to the NCAA to completely foobar something, right? Because they just unloaded the floodgates. But it shouldn't be the case that you're generating tens of millions of dollars for a school, and all you get is a academic scholarship, or you get your tuition
Right. You
paid.
get a stipend or whatever.
And I've said this too. Like if I went to Tech. If I invent something, I get to make money off that. Unless I play college football, then I couldn't.
Yeah, if we're talking just in jersey sales, if we keep it to just that, the money that players have lost over the years, or not made, we'll just say not made, is egregious, really.
Yeah,
Peyton Manning is a prime example of that. You know how many number 16 Tennessee jerseys are running around?
he didn't make
This
a dime
country,
off of.
not a penny.
I'm about to bring Porter on.
Yeah.
He's a Georgia guy, but do you remember Freddie Gibson, a wide receiver Georgia had way back in the late 90s?
Yeah.
He got in a lot of trouble for selling his own SEC championship ring. And I'm like, wait, does he not own it? Why can't he sell it? He earned it. Let me go to my no trust screen. What's
Who
going
was
on?
the
Porter?
Ohio State guy that got in trouble for, I want to say
Tattoos? I forget. It was
Yeah.
like a wide receiver or something for them. Basically they were.
It was the running back. How he was supposed to be all world. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, and that's even worse because they just said, hey, we like Ohio State. Don't worry about paying for the tattoo. And they got dinged for that. It's like, what? Is this Clown World? What is this?
Are you watching the Kansas game? That has got to be the ugliest helmet in college football.
I am not. By the way, what's going on, Porter? We got you on. We got a Tech man, a Georgia guy, and a Tennessee man here in the StreamYard.
Well, good evening. I'm sitting outside. If the cicadas get too loud, just say, "Hey, man, just go inside." If it's too much of a distraction, let me know. But it's such a nice night out, so
No, I think
I'm
you're
up
good.
here. All right. Well, I'm up here in Cumming, Georgia, sitting here with bourbon in my hand. So,
Yeah.
So you're coming bourbon.
that's not the name of it, but I'm in Cumming, Georgia, which is a very
Precarious
It used to be
name.
affluent.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be an affluent suburb, but it is now of Atlanta. So.
Yeah, that's up in the northeast part of the state, right? Going toward Athens, kind of.
It's more due north from Atlanta. Really,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
back. Yeah, I used to live in. You're thinking more Gwinnett area. Gwinnett's
Yeah.
more east.
Yeah.
Is it farther north than Kennesaw?
Yes. And it's on the other side of Atlanta.
Yeah, I think latitudinal wise. Let's see.
Is that a word, WreckTalk?
Latitude.
Latitudinal wise.
It is
Latitudinal
now.
wise.
Yeah.
Sounds like a East Tennessee word.
Kennesaw is more in my neck of the woods. Kennesaw is more west Atlanta, like Kennesaw, Smyrna. Those are also affluent areas, but yeah, Cumming's more north.
Now, Kennesaw is definitely not west of Atlanta. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
You go
it
through,
is.
you go through, it is. You go through Kennesaw when you're leaving Atlanta to come back to Tennessee.
Yeah, that's because you're going you're going west and then north.
Yeah.
Okay.
North 75 goes a little west, goes by the Braves Stadium, and then right around, I guess it's Cartersville. It gets then it starts going kind of due north. So.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna pull up a map for you, BBD, because you it's like Mark Twain said, it's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble, it's what you know for sure that just ain't so. Kennesaw's definitely west of Atlanta. Let me switch
West
screens.
of Atlanta.
It's
Wow.
northwest, but
Okay, there you go. Northwest.
yeah,
Is it more north or west, though?
I think
It's
it's
more north. It's more north. I mean, I grew up on the west side. I know.
Thank
the
you,
west side,
thank you, Porter. That was my point.
But I.
Keep your
by the
damn
way,
map
I didn't know,
under your wings, there, WreckTalk, Mr. Engineer guy.
I grew up. Yeah, I grew up in Douglas County, which is really that is west. So that's.
I would like to see this map though, because
Yeah.
I
But I
remember
want to say,
actually
I was
stopping in Kennesaw.
Yeah, it's right here. See, and then you probably go up. I'm not sure where in Tennessee you are. You either go up 75 or like 575 if you're
70,
going.
75 usually come up through Chattanooga and
Yes.
Knoxville area.
Now, BVD, do you see 285 here? This
I don't
perimeter
see
around.
anything yet.
All right, 285 is the loop that goes around Atlanta. We like to call it the Devil's Butthole. It's
That's
never
weird. Why is it showing up on YouTube, but it's not showing up on StreamYard?
because I don't do it the way you do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do it.
Well,
a little bit.
nobody does.
I
Nobody
use,
does it like I do at WreckTalk.
Yeah, I use OBS instead of like using
Oh, okay.
StreamYard.
That's the good way. But my OBS took a shit on me years ago, and I said, you know what?
That's
I'm
rough.
too much of a tech tard. Can you zoom in on that?
Oh yeah, let me switch back over. I forget you're a little bit delayed.
Just a little.
Yeah, on Kennesaw.
I'm delayed in everything though. So
Yeah.
like I was just born like 30 minutes ago.
Now Marietta, just south of that, I'm pretty sure Ric Flair lives in Marietta.
Wait a minute.
yeah. What? That's where Travis Tritt is originally from.
Yes, Travis
You guys
Tritt is the truth.
Trying to tell me that Kennesaw is west of Atlanta is like me trying to tell you that Georgia's actually, well, never mind.
Well, Athens is up over here. Where is it?
I mean,
showing?
Kennesaw is 100% north of Atlanta. 100%.
It's northwest. If I drew a line from dead center Atlanta over here and then put Cartesian coordinates over it, it would have a slope of 1.
Whatever.
A
that
negative
means.
1. Yeah.
Do you understand what he's talking about, Georgia man?
As much.
Well, I think, what he's saying is 75 goes a little bit west. Like I think due north. If you want to go due north of Atlanta, I think you would go somewhere around Ball Ground to go due north. That's
You'd be out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you're right. There's ball ground right there.
And and believe me, I'm basing that strictly.
I see up there.
I'm basing that strictly on memory. So that's how well I know my region.
Roswell, Alpharetta.
Yeah.
I thought Alpharetta was like a suburb of Atlanta, or is it considered a suburb?
It's considered a suburb. I mean,
okay, I just kind of look at anything outside the
really this whole
freeway
area.
that goes around Atlanta.
Yeah, Alpharetta, Roswell, even Woodstock kind of considered a suburb of Atlanta. Marietta, Smyrna, Vinings. If you want to spend about $1 million on a house, you can go buy one in Vinings.
I just want to spend $1 million.
Yeah.
It don't have to be on a house.
By the way, the housing market is really dumb right now. It's way more cooked than it was in 08.
I mean, wouldn't it be cool to actually spend $1 million on something, no matter what it is? You know,
I guess
just be able to spend $1 million.
I think the ability to spend $1 million is more attractive to me, just to be able to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, you'd have to have $1 million.
Yeah.
Which I probably never will. And I'm okay with that. I wasn't born with $1 million, so, why die with it? Although it would be nice. I mean, these people that, like these mega billionaires, I can't even fathom what it would be like to be able to just wake up one day and say, all right, you know what, guys? I think today I'm going to fly to Italy and just do whatever the hell I want to do.
But there is a drawback with being a billionaire. Like, could you ever get married?
I'm never going to get married again anyway, so.
Yeah, you're not worried about it.
I know where you're going with this. You don't trust a woman enough, right, to marry her?
Not if I'm a billionaire. Not when she can just say, I can leave you and take half of $1 billion.
Take it, bitch. That's what I'd say. I still got $500 million,
I don't know.
I'm okay with that.
So neither one of y'all are married.
I have been married
twice.
Yeah, we have been. We're part of the divorced men's club over here.
Yeah, we're jaded.
I've been married 26 years, so.
I thought you were going to say 26 times. I was going to say that's got to be a record.
No, that's I'm not a Kardashian, so
That's amazing, though, dude. For real,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
impressive.
I met a good South Georgia girl, and we settled down and got 3 kids, and life is good, man.
That is good.
Met
Congratulations, man.
picked a good one. So
Where do your kids go? This go like, are they UGA? Do they go to UGA, or did they? I'm
well,
not sure how old you are.
my oldest went to Georgia Southern. She got a swimming scholarship, and so she
I'm
was a
listening.
student athlete. And then I got one that's at North Georgia in Dahlonega. And then I got we had kind of an oops kid. So we got one that's we got a 10-year-old son who we weren't planning, who's a huge blessing. So he's hopefully he'll be able to go to Georgia. But get this, he wants to go to Georgia Tech.
Smart one.
He wants to he wants to study. I forget what he said he wanted to study, but he's in the gifted program here in Forsyth County. So he's the one that I think could get into Georgia. Will probably end up. I mean, as of right now, he'd rather go to Georgia Tech. So we'll see.
I'm in the gifted program too, but it's a different kind of gifted.
Yeah, I don't think he's in that program, BBD.
I'm in the special group.
Yeah, those are two different programs. Oh,
Well, hey, let me just so we don't just so the rest of just so we can keep some of the callers in the chat. Let's get back to the football talk. I tell you, I was thoroughly impressed with ACC last week.
They looked good, yeah.
In fact, I could not believe I did my picks. I'm in this kind of a fun league where there's not a lot of money involved, but I actually picked Miami over Texas A&M just because I said the ACC's on a roll. I'm not picking against them. So
yeah, no one's going to disagree with that pick. That game is really tough to pick. I think the line's 2.5 or so, which is basically a coin toss. It depends on who you're higher on. Can Bobby Petrino get Texas A&M's offense rolling, and they can kind of put to bed some of their problems of yesteryear? And really the same thing with Miami. Can they live up to the talent that they have on the team? That's kind of been their problem in the past, right? I don't know. Like I said, I want Miami to, or I need Miami to win that game because I'm an ACC guy. But as much trash as I talk against Miami, and there's 2 Miami people in our little group, it would be hilarious if Texas A&M won that game to me.
Porter, are you an SEC homer?
No, I'm a. Now I will say this: I have 2 degrees from Georgia, so I'm not a sidewalk fan. I'm not one of these redneck, just picks Georgia because, they're good, whatever. So I have, I've got my undergrad master's from Georgia, and I'll be honest with you, that's all I care about is Georgia. I don't.
You just slammed half of your fan base.
Were you talking about like redneck kind of sidewalk fans?
Yeah, I mean that was a backhanded not compliment, but comment.
I mean, I have no problem. I have no problem anybody rooting for Georgia, even if they didn't go there. I think that's great. If you're a taxpayer living in the state of Georgia, you have every right to root for Georgia, and I have no problem.
Well, even
with
if
that.
you're not,
I'm just. What's that?
Even if you're not, look, to be fair to you, the more successful your program, the more bandwagon fans you're going to have. That's just kind of part of it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, I will say this: I think I've got a more, I don't know.
I think you're more reasonable than most Georgia fans that we.
But I think. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go. You.
I think I'm a deeper thinker when it comes to this stuff because the average sidewalk, I call them sidewalk fans because they're I've heard that term before. So, but these are the same people that all off season were saying, "Oh, we don't want North Carolina." Talking about conference expansion.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, we don't want North Carolina. They're not good at football.
Yeah, they are.
We want to go get Clemson. We want to get Florida State. I'm thinking, dude, do you not know what you're saying? Why do you want to make it so freaking hard? It's stupid.
Well, if Clemson
It's
and North Carolina played today, it wouldn't surprise me if
Well,
North Carolina
yeah.
would be favored.
Well, you know what I mean. I mean, typically, Clemson is the football.
Yeah.
My point is, I don't care about the rest of the SEC. I really don't. I care about my school and my school only, really, for the most part. Now,
Yeah.
to say that I turn on a TV and I see, say this past week when I watched LSU and
Florida State.
Florida State play. Of course, I was rooting for LSU because I mean they're not in our division. They're not. There are a few teams in the SEC I can root for. LSU's one of them. But when it gets down to it, I really couldn't care. All I care about is how it affects my school.
Sure.
And I'm not a conference homer. I'm just not. I mean, like I'll give you an example. When Kansas State played Alabama last year in the Sugar Bowl, I was rooting for Kansas State. Now in retrospect, it made our conference look really good. The way we came out of the bowl season last year, it made our conference look damn good. I mean, you had Tennessee beat the ACC champ, Bama beat the Big 12 champ. Georgia won the national championship. LSU beat the Big 10 runner-up 60-something to 3. But it's almost like I've gotten to a point now with the SEC is like we don't have to prove anything to anybody. All I care about is my program.
Oh yeah.
And I know that sounds short-sighted to some people, but there are.
No, I feel the same way 100%, Porter, and I didn't go to Tennessee. I want every SEC team to lose in the bowl game, even if it's for a national championship, because when other schools win, that hampers the recruiting at Tennessee.
Yep.
And God knows we need all the help we can get, in recruiting, even though Heupel's doing really good right now in that department.
Mm-hmm.
We're never going to recruit like Georgia. We're never going to recruit like Alabama. And there, believe it or not, was a time when Georgia fans and Bama fans were saying we're never going to recruit like Tennessee.
But why do you think you can't recruit like Georgia? Because you don't have any impediment to recruiting.
We don't have a state with the talent pool that Georgia has.
That's a good point.
But neither does Alabama.
Yeah, and they just signed one of the.
Heard anybody say, "Hey, let's go to Alabama. They got great high school football there," because they don't.
That's why I think Tech can turn the tide some because, there's nothing in Tuscaloosa other than the University of Alabama. There's nothing in Gainesville, Florida, other than the University of Florida. When you think of Atlanta, and I've said this is something we got to change a little bit, you don't really think about Georgia Tech. But anything you'd want to do, the College Football Hall of Fame's in Atlanta. It's really the rap and movie capital of the world at the moment. What's going on in Atlanta, we got to be able to use that. You can go to Tuscaloosa, and I get it. If you're a good recruit, you're going to want to go there and win a ton of games, but there's a lot of stuff to do. Why do we not see more Tech players get in trouble with all of the the things they could get into?
You just took the words out of my mouth, Rick. I was going to say the bigger the city, the more shit there is to do, the more trouble there is for the kids to get into.
B-Bean, I'm not trash talking Florida when I say that. There isn't. I've been to Gainesville, Florida. There is nothing in Florida.
Nothing in Gainesville. Although I'll give Gainesville this. Before I ever went to Gainesville for a game, that's all I ever heard. There's nothing in Gainesville. I mean, if you like to get drunk, there's plenty of good bars to go to on the Strip, as there is at any other college in America. If you like to get pissed thrown on you, it's a great place to go.
Yeah. You probably like that, though, BVD. That you own no reverse on that.
Maybe when I was a little younger, I might have enjoyed that, but
right, of course.
But not in this day and age.
You spent 4 years in Gainesville, Florida. Well, I'm sorry, B-Bean. There is nothing different about Gainesville, Florida than Valdosta, really. They're the same type of city. Sorry, go ahead, Porter.
Yeah, Gainesville and Tuscaloosa. Sorry, Porter. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I wanted to kind of talk about what BVD was talking about with Tennessee is what Tennessee needs, and I hate to put it this way, but they need teams like Clemson and Georgia to either go on probation, or to really fall off, because this is what happened. I'm 53 years old. I remember when Tennessee was so good in the 90s. And
Yeah.
this is what happened with Tennessee is Georgia got on probation. Georgia's program was not very good. So, and then Clemson was not very good. So what Tennessee was able to do, Tennessee's recruiting footprint is mainly North Carolina, mainly the Carolinas.
The Carolinas, yeah,
uh,
and Georgia.
And so what Tennessee was able to do when they the year before they won the national championship in '98, they came down to Georgia and got Jamal Lewis, they got Deion Grant, they got Cozy Coleman, they got three of the best players out of the state of Georgia. In 97, Georgia was just now. I mean, we were a 6-5 program in 1997. Now I'm sorry, 96. Fortunately, we were able to turn the tide in 97, and once we won 10 games and beat Florida in 97, our program was up, off and running. But that's what Tennessee needs. Tennessee needs that ability to go into now. So what has happened since then is Mark Richt got to Georgia. He pretty much cut Tennessee out of Georgia, and then Clemson got better, and Clemson started getting the best players out of the state of North Carolina. Tennessee used to get players like Heath Schuler, and there was a guy named Pickens, a receiver that was real good.
Carl Pickens, yeah.
And so they
Peerless Price.
What's that?
Oh, this is way before Peerless Price.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I'm younger than you.
So, was Peerless from North Carolina? I'm trying to remember where he was from. I don't remember.
I actually can't remember. For some reason, I want to say Arizona, but I know that's not right.
I'll tell you. I'll look it up.
Yeah, tell us there. Ask your friend Google.
He actually lived in my neighborhood. I used to live in Hamilton Mill up in Gwinnett. And he
might be a Georgia kid.
I don't think people liked him very much. He's kind of a dick, to be honest. Anyway,
Peerless was definitely into some Peerless.
Yeah.
He's from Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I knew that.
They used to go to Ohio too, a fair amount. But anyway, that's
Fulmer went anywhere he wanted. Porter, that was the thing. He was like Saban before Saban.
Who you talking about? You talking about?
Talking about Fulmer.
Johnny Majors or
Philip Fulmer?
No, Fulmer.
Well, Majors got it going. Majors.
Yeah, but it took him forever, man. It took him forever. Like coaches nowadays, they're not going to get 10 years like Johnny did to turn a program around. If you can't turn a program around in 2 years now, you're probably not going to keep your job.
You get fired in the SEC. It's a reality of the situation. And I'll tell you this, Porter. I don't think Mark Richt gets enough credit for what Georgia is. Like people forget before Mark Richt got there. Like you said, Tech really was rolling at that time, and like you said, Georgia was 6-7 win program. No one recruited at Georgia like Mark Richt did before he got there. Mark Richt was perennially a top 5.
Well, listen, I'll be in defense of Jim Donnan. I know y'all like to laugh at Jim Donnan because y'all won 3 in a row against him, but he outside of the Tech game, he was a really good coach, and he assembled a really. He had an amazing eye for talent, and what Jim Donnan did was he had a very rough first year in '96. I think we went 6-5, but we had one good win, that was against Auburn, and so we were able to kind of right the ship a little bit, and then he ended up having a really good year in 1997. I don't know if BBD remembers, but Tennessee kind of back in their way to the SEC championship game because Georgia was able to beat Florida that year, and so Tennessee was begging that we beat Florida. We did, and they got into the SEC championship game and beat Auburn. But we went 10-2 that year, and you guys don't remember, but that year going into the '98 recruiting year after the '97 season, there were a bunch of really good players in the state, and they are all younger brothers of players that were at Georgia. You had the younger Stinchcomb brother, John Stinchcomb. You had Boss Bailey. You had Champ Bailey's younger brother. You had Terrence Edwards.
Who the hell names their kids Champ and Boss, by the way?
One of the greatest ladies in Georgia history, Mrs. Bailey.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we ride the ship because after going 10-2, anyway, that recruiting class, that John Stinchcomb and all those guys, that was the nucleus that got us the SEC championship in 2002. If we had not recruited those guys, we would not have won the SEC championship. So my point is, Mark Richt benefited from a stocked cupboard that Jim Donnan left him at Georgia. So it wasn't all Rick. Jim Donnan left the program better than he found it. So
No,
let me just say that.
I have no doubt he had an eye for talent, and he did have players that Rick benefited from early on. My point was no one recruited top 10 recruiting classes every year until Mark Rick got there. I don't think, did he ever have a recruiting class that wasn't ranked top 10?
Oh yeah. In fact, that was kind of his demise.
Mark Rick?
He really, towards the end, he really kind of took his eye off the ball when it came to recruiting.
I thought the big knock on
I don't know about
Mark
that.
Richt was the fact that he couldn't win a big game.
Yeah, it was that he had a ton of talent, but he wasn't able to win the big one, right?
Well, he won 2 SEC championships, and
That's what's so crazy about it. I mean, if you think about it, getting rid of Mark Richt was, at the time, a pretty stupid thing to do. I
It
thought.
looked like it when he was winning 10 games a year. And look, the first national title appearance you had were Mark Richt players. Think of the 3 running backs he recruited. Todd Gurley, Sony Michel, and who was the other one? Sony Michel and another.
Keith Marshall.
No, it was
Wasn't it?
Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, and Todd Gurley. Were all primed and ready to go. I'd have to look, though. I don't think his recruiting tailed off. They would lose to Florida, when they were way better. There was always a game a year that was head scratching.
well, there was one of his classes towards the end. I want to say it was going into the 2000. I think it was the 2013 class, and he had to. And it's a long story. I'm gonna bore you with the story, but anyway, he had to have surgery, and he had to have it. Anyway, there was an issue with scheduling and all that. Anyway, he had surgery a week or two before signing day, and it was a terrible decision. And what happened was he lost a lot of his recruits to people like Auburn and Alabama and others because he kind of took his eye off the ball, and that class pretty much sunk him. So by the time 2015 got here, he was the program just wasn't the same. And so the funny part for Tech fans is you're going to hate this, but in 2016 we lose in the last second of the last second to Georgia Tech,
Mm-hmm.
and Sony Michel and Chubb were probably going to go pro after that season. They go into Kirby's office and say, we're coming back next year because we can't deal with the fact that we just lost to Georgia Tech. So
They had done it twice.
Because we lost to Georgia Tech, we were able to have that great run in 2017. Because if those two guys go pro, we don't have that run in 17 where we won the Rose Bowl in the SEC.
I don't know what year they were, but I think they lost twice to Tech. I think they went 2-2 because we won in 2014 and then we won in 2016.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're right, David Turk. That was the kick in the
Was
pig.
that your last win over Georgia?
It was
2016 or?
Yeah, because Paul left in 2018 and Jeff Collins came in 2019. And I tell you, it is kind of impressive how systematically he ran a program into the ground. And I know Paul Johnson was struggling toward the end of his tenure, but he still went 7-5. And yeah, he had to come out of the triple option. And and as Tech fans, we're all like, well, let him turn the roster around and see what he can do, and then we get beat 100-0 at the end of the year before last by Notre Dame and Georgia. It's like, well, there's no reason to think this is ever going to get better. And then you learn that ways run in practice, and there's a reason he hadn't been hired, right? There's 100% a reason why that guy hadn't been hired yet.
Oh my, yeah. Hey, Rick, I thought about you the other day. He was on some show. This is a week or two before the season started. He was on the show. Get this. You're gonna hate this. And the guy asked him, I think it was like a podcast or something. He said Georgia or the field, and Jeff Collins goes, "I'll take Georgia. I've never seen. I went over to practice. Kirby invited me over to practice, and that's a roster I've never seen before in my life. They were amazing. I'll take Georgia over the field. I mean, the guy was the biggest butt catcher." And I was just thinking, man, golly, I can only imagine what the Tech fans are thinking right now if they had heard Jeff Collins go on and on about Georgia.
Well, he crawled up under every coach's nuts he could in the spring, and Kirby was one of them. And I think that he's more well placed in MySpace, the podcasting YouTube space, than he is being a coach. And evidently, like, he's friends with Josh Pate, and Josh Pate, for whatever reason, was carrying water for Jeff Collins. Like, oh, he was promised all this stuff and they didn't follow through. And I'm like, well, tell us what it is. What was he promised that if he had gotten it would have made any difference for him? Because I can't think of anything that would have made a whole lot of difference. I mean, because he did have some good recruiting classes at Tech. He had one of the best recruiting classes we had, and then they all transfer out. Like Gibbs, which I don't blame him. Jahmyr Gibbs goes to Alabama, ends up being a, what was he, 16th overall pick? I wouldn't have happened if he'd have stayed.
Hugely underused at Alabama, in my opinion. But
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the kid
but
is
that
a stud.
happened. I mean, look at Alvin Kamara transfers from Alabama to Tennessee, and then Butch Jones fucked him up. It still worked out good for him in the NFL, but it's amazing sometimes how these coaches can manage to misuse players.
Yeah, and Buddy, Jahmyr Gibbs didn't have the best season he had at Tech. He had like 749 yards rushing, which is just criminal. But, I think we're in better days. A lot of Tech fans, I talked about it at the beginning of the show, are really down after this loss to Louisville. But we haven't looked that good offensively, and I know it was a spotty game with, scoring most of those in the second quarter, but we're going to be okay. And people are going to think I'm crazy. I think we can go into Oxford and beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss doesn't scare me.
Oh, boy.
I'll be there. I'll be in Oxford. We talked about it last time.
That's for you, I think that is a impressive game to be at.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, every year I want to go to at least one or two stadiums I've never been to. I can't believe I've never been to Death Valley in Clemson. I'll be going to that one as well. And look, I think we can beat Clemson too. Clemson, for whatever reason, has struggled against us, even with Jeff Collins. Jeff Collins came really close to beating them the year before last. Or it might have been another year, but we almost beat him in Death Valley with Jeff Collins. So,
Excuse me.
I think everyone
That's
just
2021.
Yeah, that was
That's
it.
21.
That was it.
What kind of chance do you guys give Tennessee winning at Tuscaloosa this year?
I think that's it's obviously your toughest regular season game other than like Georgia.
Those are the two rough ones.
And they're both on the road, right? You got to go to.
No, we got Georgia at home.
Okay, you got Georgia at Neyland. I think you can do that because here's the thing. I said this in a video maybe that I put out today. I think it was. I don't know what to really expect with Alabama this year because the benefit Alabama has had is the same benefit that Clemson has had under like Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Far as I can tell, Alabama doesn't have a Bryce Young or a Tua Tagovailoa or a Jalen Hurts on their roster right now. So,
but it hasn't mattered. Keep that in mind too. Every year we've gone into a season saying, Alabama's got quarterback problems. They end up winning a fucking natty.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems like everyone on the first week of college game day picked Atlanta, or not Atlanta, but Alabama. I got to see more Alabama. I'll know more about your chances against Alabama 2 or 3 weeks from now. But I think you got a good chance of going in there.
Tomorrow.
That's true.
Awesome.
A lot of people's upset pick this week is Texas. But that game's also in Tuscaloosa. I just don't see Texas going into Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama. I could be wrong, though.
Alabama has one of the most overrated home field advantages in college football. I feel like. Um, I just I don't know. They're 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 not like Auburn or even Georgia in the Georgia Tennessee game last year. That's the craziest I've ever seen Sanford Stadium. I don't know if you agree or not, Porter. But
Well,
that place was nuts last year.
yeah, I wasn't there. I chose to watch that at home, especially with the forecast. But
Yeah,
yeah, everybody I talked to, they said it was amazing. Of course, part of that is your former quarterback was talking about how Sanford wasn't hard. Well, what's his name? Eric Ainge. Eric Ainge. The week
Eric Ainge's got a big mouth. I wish he'd just shut his pie hole every now and then because
that I think that fired up.
oh,
Georgia.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It did.
But I mean, I'll say this about Eric Ainge. He had our number when he was in college. I mean,
Yeah,
he would play like he would play sea level against Florida, and then for some reason would play like like an All American every time we freaking played him. I don't understand
that's
why.
that's what Tennessee faces against Florida every year. It seems like. Now this year, Graham Mertz, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about
Yeah.
that game
Oh.
than normal. Because normally Florida scares shit out of me. I know that'll make
Yeah.
B Dean happy, but this year they don't. Well, I mean, realistically, even if Joe Milton has a horrible day, we should still be able to beat Florida because I think we're better at the line of scrimmage.
I think so
Okay.
too. I feel better about your chances there than I do Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I think we got the best rushing game in the conference at this
I haven't
point.
really,
I mean,
I didn't watch your game much last week, but
I don't know how much you could have gotten out of that anyway because Virginia's bad.
Well, I thought maybe do this because everyone's talking about Clemson, and it seems the divide seems to be is Clemson are they down and out or not? So I'm looking at their schedule. So they have two nobodies. Obviously, they're going to beat Charleston Southern and Florida Atlantic, but they've got Florida State after that in Death
What if
Valley.
they don't beat Florida Atlantic though, Rick? I
Well,
don't know how good that team is.
you'll see a different side of Dabo. He'll start talking about maybe I should go coach somewhere else and all that nonsense he tends to do. And look, if they lose like 3 games again this year, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Dabo for his curious decisions like the portal and like
I
him.
think 3 losses is almost a given for them.
Well, let's find out. What do y'all think about Florida State? I think the conversation there is how much does Florida State beat them by? But that's been
At
a tough
this
game
point,
in the past.
Where is that game?
It's in Death Valley. That's what makes it interesting.
Why are they playing Florida State at LSU Stadium?
Well, they call it Death
That's
Valley.
the real Death Valley, damn it.
why do you care?
Well, they're both Tigers too. This is interesting.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Clemson should schedule LSU and have like the battle of the Tiger King game or something.
Yeah, Tiger King.
And Carol Baskins could come. Man, I'm just giving them banger ideas. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
Is there anyone on? Do either of y'all think that
Wouldn't
Florida
there be
State?
somebody kill that bitch.
I'll tell you this: I've never been like as entertained as like, or respected a guy as much as Tiger King. The lengths he would go to just marginally annoy Carol Baskins was
Oh, it was amazing.
like he somehow he stole her diary, and he read it on his
He
internet.
stopped short of actually killing her.
Yeah,
That was the only step left for him.
he reads her diary on an internet show that I don't know more than 5 people ever watched at once. Like, all right, episode 380
Get
of
on my
Carol
channel or
Sucks.
something.
Yeah. Shout out to Tiger King. He was convinced Trump was going to pardon him. He even had a limo he rented ready to pick him up, and he never got pardoned. Is there anyone that thinks Florida State loses that game?
I'm going no.
I don't know. Well, who does Florida State play this week?
Southern Miss.
Yeah, I don't know. It's ain't Brett Favre Southern Miss. So, yeah, I'd kind of like to see him play one more time. But I would say, as of right now, I don't see Florida State losing that game. Although, there's something about I heard the other day though that Florida State has not. I don't think Florida State's beaten Clemson since
It's been a while.
maybe 2014. The last time they went to the only time they went to the playoff. I think that's the last time, 2014.
Oh, I
So-
finally figured it out. Sorry, Porter. Your voice has been driving me nuts. But I finally figured out who it is.
Who it
that he
sounds like? Who?
Yeah. You neither one of you guys will probably know the name Gus Manning.
No.
He's like a Tennessee historian, and he used to always have a show on pregame. He may still. I mean, the guy's like 800 years old. I forget what the hell the show's called. But yeah, you sound just like him, Porter. So I didn't.
He does have a radio voice for sure.
Yeah.
You missed your Colin Porter if you're not
That's all right.
in radio.
That's right. I'm pretty good. I mean, I feel pretty good with my professional direction. So.
Yeah.
I think let's see. They already lost to Duke. Did they play North Carolina?
Clemson? Crap. Why did it do that?
I'm pretty sure they play Pitt at Pitt. I think
Clemson plays
they got to play
North
Notre
Carolina.
Dame.
Yeah.
They got to go to Notre Dame, right?
But there's even games like the following week. They're at Syracuse. Syracuse has had their number in the past 3 years.
There's
as
no
well.
way they're losing to Syracuse. But then again, I said there's no way they're losing to Duke. So
I think they could lose.
Wake Forest
Yeah.
is a losable game.
They have them the next week. I mean, those are not the easiest 3 games for them.
What about Miami?
They have
That's a losable game.
I actually think they beat Miami. They have a bye before that. But
NC State will beat them.
I think Notre Dame could beat them. Assuming they win all the other games, that's 2 losses. Georgia Tech, I mean, I think we can beat
South
Clemson.
Carolina can definitely beat them again.
Yeah, that's in Columbia.
Yeah.
So
And then
North Carolina could beat them. They might lose 5 games this year.
Oh, buddy, you want to see a fan base? They'll start asking for Dabo to be fired. That will happen if they lose 5 games this year. I know
They
fan
should.
bases. I don't know that they
fire
should.
Dabo. Then they can hire the Duke coach. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Oh my God! You know the amount of they hired Mike Elko.
Pete would implode.
You know he held it together.
What I don't understand is they had 3 national championships in their history, and all 3 were quarterbacked by quarterbacks from the state of Georgia. So if I'm Clemson, why do you ever recruit anywhere besides the state of Georgia for a quarterback?
Where did Klubnik come out of?
He's from Austin.
Oh, that's right. He's a Texas kid. Yeah, and that's been
that Westlake program.
Their undoing is just they haven't had a quarterback, and it's not like Uiagalelei and Cade Klubnik are both 5-star kids, and that's why I think you see people like, is there a system issue at Clemson? And that goes back to Dabo. You know, he generally doesn't like to hire from outside the program for some reason. You know, he has like family members on staff. He promotes from within.
Yeah, we went through that at Tennessee.
But I mean, getting back to what you said, Rick, about Mark Richt, getting back to the Rick talk is, to me, that's example 1 and example 2 of why Mark Richt was fired. If Mark Richt had recruited either one of those guys, either Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence, he'd still be the coach at Georgia. Or maybe not with his health issues, but
You're listening to Rick Talk on Wreck Talk.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I remember there was a playoff game. I'm sorry, there was a game where Cam Newton was leading Carolina to the Super Bowl, and Deshaun was leading Clemson to the playoff, and it was the same year. I want to say it was 2015, I think it was. And And a thought occurred to me: if Mark Richt had recruited either Cam Newton or Deshaun Watson, he'd still be the coach right now. But he failed to recruit either one of them and didn't place either one of them as a high priority at the quarterback level. And then when he was still there, he never really tried to recruit Trevor Lawrence.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence was a big Tennessee fan growing up.
Oh, what if Trevor would have gone to Tennessee?
Butch Jones is why he didn't go.
Well, Butch Jones is looking like all red in the face, crying at Arkansas State right now.
Yeah,
they're like calling for him to be fired at Arkansas State.
Night.
Hey, Rick, I'm gonna have to leave. Appreciate you having me on. We had some good talk tonight. Porter, good to meet you.
Yeah, man. Good talking to you. Have a good weekend.
We're about to wrap up the show anyways. I know Pete's on BVD. I appreciate you coming on. Everyone go subscribe to BVD. He does a lot of good stuff. And like I said, the OG YouTube creator. Appreciate it, BVD.
The Orange Gorilla. That's right.
The Orange Gorilla. Porter, always happy to have you on.
Appreciate it. I enjoy it.
Any parting words?
No, I mean, I hope it gets cool here in the Piedmont. My gosh, it's hot as heck. I'm ready for some fall weather, man. Did you say you live in Cobb County?
Yeah, Smyrna.
Yeah, so yeah, you know what it's like, man. I'm ready for some fall. I'm ready for some Halloween decorations and some cool high school football games to go to. So
yes, sir.
Hope you have I'm sure you guys will have no problem tomorrow. When's your next, I guess, nail biter game coming up?
The following week, which is Ole Miss in Oxford. Then we stay on the road and go to Wake. It's a tough little road stretch for us.
Yeah, that Wake. I didn't know what to do on that Wake Vanderbilt game too. I picked Wake, but what's your feeling on that game?
Well, here's the thing. I know a lot of people are saying Wake won't be near what they were because they lose Sam Hartman. But the quarterback that they have now threw for over 300 yards last week. I mean, Wake always finds a way to outperform the talent on their roster and develop the talent they have on their roster. So I predicted us to lose both of these games in my preseason prediction. But look, all our ability to beat Wake will come down to how much we can improve on the line of scrimmage. And it hurts that we lost one of our DNs for the year. But look, we'll have to see. You gotta go out there and play and win football games. And I think Brink Key can do that with these kids. We'll have to see though.
Yeah, just play like you did the first half against Louisville. Hey, you think about? Are you going to do like a pre-Oxford show or something? Where I'll be happy to come on. And
I'm sure I will, and I guarantee
tips on where to go.
Yeah, we'll do that, and I guarantee you there'll be a Macho Wreck video with all the stuff Lane, all the players he's taken. That Taj Point-0 looking head coach that is over there in Oxford. There'll definitely be a significant amount of trash talk. So I really hope we win that game or I'm going to look dumb again. But, I look dumb a lot, so we'll see.
Well, just go to the Grove. If I don't talk to you, go to the Grove, enjoy yourself, get there early, and find a nice young lady to talk to and enjoy yourself.
Can do, man. Appreciate it, Porter. Thanks for coming on. See you.
Thanks.
All right, let me switch screens over here again. I thought that was a pretty good show. I see people saying, what's with all this Georgia talk every time Porter comes on? Here's the thing. Click the StreamYard link, man. I can't just sit on here and talk about what's been talked to death for, an hour and a half or 2 hours. So I get it, but hit the StreamYard link and we'll talk about, whatever you want to talk about. That being said, let's see what else is going on this weekend. Again, check out Mark Rogers' channel for the post-game show. If you are going to the game, I'll be in section 106, and I will be at the Hell of a Block Party. So definitely, if you see me, come say hi. It helps my ego, and Lord knows my fragile ego needs some help. So y'all have a good night. Go Jackets, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.